Calling all parents of kids 3 to 12, we have the best kids app to share with you, Pinna. It's screen-free audio entertainment just for kids. They've got tons of podcasts and audiobooks, including some well-known stories and so many originals not available anywhere else. The age-appropriate content allows you to feel good about what your kids are listening to. Plus, they will be hooked within minutes and begging to listen again and again. It's made my life as a parent not only easier, but more enriched. Whether you're listening as a family or your kids are listening on their own, they are sure to enjoy the wide-ranging variety of stories Pinna has to offer. Right now, our listeners can get 1 year of Pinna at $19.99 for a full access annual subscription, a savings of over $50. Just head to pinna.fm/promo to sign up and use code MOMANDDAD at checkout. That's PINNA.fm/promo.
Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Thursday, November 10th, the Finding and Keeping Parenting Friends edition. I'm Jamilah, a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who is 9.5, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the homeschool and family travel blog, Dutch Goose. I'm the mom to 3 littles, Henry, who's 10, Oliver, who's 8, and Teddy, who's 6. We live in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I'm Zach Rosen. I make another podcast called The Best Advice Show, and I live in Detroit with my family. My oldest Noah is 5, and my youngest Ami is 2.
Today on the show, we're continuing our special Friendship Week. Elizabeth joined forces with the Mom Hour podcast hosts, Meagan and Sarah, to answer all your questions about making and keeping friends. Then on Slate Plus, we're going to see exactly what type of friends we are. Here's a sneak peek if you have Slate Plus. It's a really profound question for me. In 10 years, Naima will be in college.
Yeah.
So in theory, I could be traveling the world, gaining millions of followers online. But I do want another child, so I'm going to say hoping that I'm.
Are we breaking news here?
Wow. If you want more of us every single week, and you don't want to hear those pesky ads that keep the lights on around here, Slate Plus is for you. You can sign up by going to slate.com/momanddadplus. Again, that's slate.com/momanddadplus. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to share some triumphs and fails.
Mom and Dad Are Fighting is brought to you by Progressive. What's one thing you'd purchase with a little extra savings? A weighted blanket, smart speaker, maybe that new self-care trend you keep hearing about? Well, Progressive wants to make sure you're getting what you want by helping you save money on car insurance. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. Discounts like having multiple vehicles on your policy. Progressive offers outstanding coverage and award-winning claim service. Day or night, they have customer support 24/7, 365 days a year. When you need them most, they're at their best. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com and see why 4 out of 5 new auto customers recommend Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations.
Need help finding holiday gifts kids will actually like? KiwiCo is here to help you give more than just gifts. They're here to show you how to give awesome. We've been loving KiwiCo since it was first gifted to us. I know there's a lot of time off during the holiday season, and it's like the perfect thing where it's not annoying for me as an adult to do this. It's actually like really fun and kind of meditative. We got the Astronomer Starter Kit, where Noah, my oldest, who's 5, she's learning some basic STEM stuff. We're building and launching a pair of model orbiter spaceships using the power of pumps. And there's also some like arts and crafts involved. We painted this set of model planets and then constructed a miniature solar system that actually spins. So she's actually been asking me more about space travel. Some kid in school dressed up as a NASA astronaut. So she's been really interested in it. And this starter kit is like the perfect gateway into this world of astrology and solar systems and science. It's super cool, and I could not have like constructed a project like this without help from KiwiCo. Your child can get super cool hands-on science, art, and photography projects delivered to their door every month. They'll be so excited to see these arrive in the mail. The day the box arrives will be their favorite day of the month. I can attest to that. Cultivate your child's natural creativity and curiosity with new hands-on projects every month. They'll explore new worlds and rediscover familiar ones, even without leaving home. From discovering the science of magic to engineering a domino machine and more. As a parent, it can be hard to find creative ways to keep your children busy and challenged. KiwiCo does the legwork for you, so you can spend quality time tackling projects together. There's something for kids of all ages, there's no commitment, so you can pause or cancel anytime. Give awesome this holiday with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad.
We thought that in honor of Friendship Week, we could share some friendship-related triumphs and fails. Zach, what do you have for us?
Well, I mentioned this group of friends that I have in my interview with Marissa Franco, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit more as my triumph. So basically, there's like this group of 8. We were boys when we met. We were like 5 when we met. And we are still like best friends. And we are in constant contact. I didn't realize how unique it was until I got into my late teens and 20s and now 30s. And now I'm nearly 40. And for a guy to have this many guy friends from kindergarten is pretty special. And some of us are here in Detroit, others are spread around the country, but we're in touch all the time. It's like kind of one of my foundational relationships. We've actually had like a rough couple weeks in this group. One of my friends just lost their dog. Another one, newborn baby, has been in the hospital for 3 weeks. Another one just lost his uncle. And we're just like all on top of that news, helping each other grieve, helping each other mourn, helping each other set up meal trains. It's something that I have learned to be super grateful about. We take this annual trip where we hang out and like don't get super drunk, but just talk and maybe take some edibles, and it's like my favorite weekend of the year. And I'm just so glad to be in friendship with the Minglers. That's what we call ourselves, the Minglers. So a triumph.
Are you guys all just very intentional about staying in contact, like making sure that you're touching base?
Yeah, I mean, it was so much easier growing up because we went to school K-12 together. But now it's like, we have a monthly Zoom call. We have this Discord group, which is active daily. We have the annual trip. And so kind of between those 3 layers, right? There's always kind of a check-in or a hangout around the corner. Before COVID, we had a monthly dinner going for the locals. We actually haven't reinstituted that, but I think it's safe to now. So yeah, it is intentionality because, most of us are married with kids now. And so it's hard, but it's like we do the Zoom check-in at like 9 p.m., after the kids go to sleep once a month. So yeah, we're intentional about it. And we all, we've all kind of made our own friends outside of the group, but this is kind of like the first wall of friendship, the inner circle of friendship. I officiated some of their weddings. It's really special.
That's really cool.
That is super cool, Zach. I'm so jealous, and I wish that I had been set up for lifelong friendship like that from such a young age. It's super cool. Elizabeth, what about you?
Okay, so I am taking a friendship fail, but this is to share with you that making friends is super hard. When we moved to the Netherlands, that was probably the hardest time I have ever had making friends. I mean, I think the pool was so small of just like people that were willing to be friends with someone that didn't speak Dutch and was only going to be there a couple of years. And that's just, the Dutch are for all of their wonderful things, are not a particularly like warm culture. Once you get into a circle, they are incredibly warm and welcoming, but they are very like, this is our group. We've had our group forever. They're a small country, right? So finding friends was really hard. Finding friends that spoke English. I knew just from moving that like one of the things I had to do was just like go to things, because if you are not at things, you cannot meet people. And so I heard from a friend that like a friend of a friend did this yoga class in my neighborhood. And so she was like, do you want to go? She can get you in. I was like, okay, great. So I agreed to go to this yoga class. And I didn't really know the like friend of a friend. Like, she was nice enough. She spoke some English. She was like, yeah, come with me. The yoga class was like in this woman's attic, which is very common there. And I didn't really know any of the customs. Like, it was just so awkward. And then this person like basically offered me nothing else other than like, here's the address. I will also be at this class. So I show up and I sort of assumed, and this is very like American exceptionalism, that because I was there, maybe I would be given some instruction in English. I was not. The class was in Dutch. And then the teacher kept insisting the only thing she would say to me in English. By the way, all of these people speak English because everyone in the Netherlands speaks like 12 languages. No joke. She just kept saying, you have to close your eyes in this class. I was like, well, I don't really speak Dutch. And if I close my eyes, I will have not a clue what anyone is doing. But here's the fail. You guys, I went back to the class because I went back for like 8 or 9 weeks because I was just like, this is a touch point for me. And it turned out to be like a really funny story that I would just share at expat things. And it also is what kind of pushed me over the edge to just like, when I heard this woman speaking English at a park, to be like, hi, I'm Elizabeth. You seem to be speaking English natively. Are you two here? You know? And it turns out, yes, she was an expat from Canada and became one of my best friends. We actually had a connection through another place as well. But if your friendship is going bad, at least you're not in a Dutch yoga class trying to make friends where the instructor keeps telling you to shut your eyes.
Did you keep them shut?
Well, no, what I did was I would like peek out, I ended up taking my hair down and it could like fall in front of my face and like trying to peek or like peek through my eyelashes because honestly, there was a chance I ended up like in tree when everyone else was like Shavasana because I didn't even know. I knew a couple like whatever Duolingo teaches you, which is not the names of the poses in Dutch, like no matter what you do, downward dog does not sound the same. So I luckily there was some flow, so I kind of knew like the good thing is the practice kind of goes in the same way. But yes, I was like afraid too. I would like fall asleep or something, and then I would just be stuck there. It was terrifying. Jamilah, what about you?
I racked my brain on this one, and I'm just going to give myself a triumph and say I'm very excited that I booked tickets for us to go to New York for Thanksgiving this year. We are going to see our friends, which is important. She hasn't been back to New York, and so she misses my friends. I miss her friends. We miss, the city, and we're going to see our people for the holiday.
Those like touch point visits are so important when you're living across the country,
Definitely.
Oh, that sounds great.
I think that's awesome.
Wow. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we're back, we're going to jump into Elizabeth's interview.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual, so when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure, whether it's a career change, a new relationship, or becoming a parent. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/madaf. That's help, HELP.com/madaf.
This episode is brought to you by Best Buy. This year, let Best Buy be your holiday hype partner. Whether you're searching for exciting gifts, trying to snag the hottest holiday deals, or looking for ways to simplify the giving and receiving experience, Best Buy is here to help. Best Buy makes it easy to get your gifts how and when you need them, with free next-day delivery on thousands of items, as well as same-day delivery and in-store pickup options. Make Best Buy your go-to gifting destination this holiday season for products that help you enjoy what really matters, like quality time with the family. We have been watching kids' movies together. Now both of my kids are old enough to sit through a whole movie, and we have a TV that sometimes works. So I think it actually might be time to invest in a proper TV so we can watch stuff together in bed, get real cozy before bedtime. It's been like so nice to sit with my family and appreciate culture with them. It's been so nice just to have the four of us together watching movies. It's like my favorite thing to do. No matter what your plans are this season, Best Buy is the perfect destination for all your holiday needs. Shop great deals on gifts now at Best Buy.
All right, we're back. So the Mom Hour podcast is kind of a big effing deal in the parenting sphere. Elizabeth, can you tell us why you wanted to have Meagan and Sarah on to talk friendships?
Okay, so Meagan and Sarah actually became friends through kind of like their work and blogging, and they have had just like so many life changes and have remained friends. And a lot of what they talk about on the Mom Hour is kind of this friendship thing. So I wanted to bring them on to answer a bunch of your questions. We reached out to the listeners on Facebook to ask what kind of problems they were having making friends or keeping friends. The nice part is that with Meagan and Sarah and we all have kids kind of in different ages, but we are largely out of that kind of easy, like you can make friends at the breastfeeding group or make friends at some kind of like small kid parenting thing, which makes it a little bit easier. And in fact, one of them kind of has all older kids. So they're even out of the like meeting other friends through parents of kids. So it's really nice. We just took on a bunch of questions from our listeners and just kind of talked about our fails in making parenting friends and what we learned from that, and also some advice on things that have worked for us. And don't worry, in the end, I end up friends with both of them, and I'm still like emailing and keeping up with them. So you can come on our journey to talk all about making and keeping friends as you enter this kind of parenting sphere.
Hi, I'm Megan Francis. I am a co-host of the Mom Hour. I live in Michigan, and I have 5 kids who are ages 13 to 24. So big brood and really excited to be here.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Powers. I am Megan's other half on the Mom Hour podcast, and my kids are 9, 12, and 14. We live in Santa Barbara, California, which is the town I grew up in, and we moved back in the early days of COVID. So I'm living again in my own hometown.
How long have you guys known each other?
We have known each other on ye old internet for 11 years, I think. I did that math this fall. And we have been working together for 10 of those. And we've been podcasting together for, it'll be 8 in March, like 7 and a half. So we met as writer, blogger, internet content creator people, and really had like almost a business acquaintanceship first. And then friendship came with doing projects together and starting the podcast together in 2015.
That's amazing, because I don't know if it is like COVID or just the season of life, but it seems like we are getting like way more questions on the podcast about how you make friends, like parents posting, hey, I don't understand why I can't find people. And so I've kind of boiled them down into some of the bigger topics, although we'll dive into some specifics. So it seems like a lot of the questions kind of come from parents who have had a change in their life. They've had to move, or they had, their third kid, their fourth kid. So all of a sudden, kind of the friends that they had, that core group, is for whatever reason gone. And now they have to kind of break into an already established group. Do you guys have any tips for that?
I mean, I have a lot of empathy.
I was going to say commiseration. How about that? Can we start there? Yeah. We're all really out of practice. I'm an extrovert, and I used to be a total social butterfly, but now multiple invitations or activities on my calendar in 1 week really stresses me out. I'm just not, I'm kind of out of practice. So I'm just putting myself now in the position of being a mom with little kids, coming out of this 2 to 3 year weirdness and saying, where are my people at? Even if I had them before, now where did they go? And have they all splintered off into different groups, or is everyone just hiding under a blanket at home? So I think that the thing you have to do that's the hardest thing is put yourself out there and be willing to be the awkward one, and maybe just be kind of more honest than seems cool.
Yeah.
This is so awkward. I know it's awkward for me and for you, but this is how it has to be because we all feel weird.
I definitely read into some of these questions that people think it's supposed to be easy because it was so easy when we were kids. I mean, maybe it wasn't easy when we were kids, but we thought it was easy, right?
We don't remember
because everyone's looking for friends. But I feel like we need to acknowledge that we're all looking for friends again.
Almost adjusting our own expectations of what friendships even look like at this stage of life. I have found myself really craving what I think, Megan, you've called friendlies before. Ooh. People around my town and community who know my name, know my kids' names. But maybe that's all we ever get to. I just went to a back to school night for my 7th grader. And people were like, hey, Sarah. And I was like, hey, this teacher. And I just had this little moment of hope of okay, it took 2.25 years, but some people know my name and I know some people's names. And I guess where I'm going with that is if our expectation is the ride or die, bosom buddies that we might have found in the nursing moms group when our kids were babies, where we just felt so intimately connected, that may be a high bar to meet right now. So I think for me, a lot of it is really getting clear with identifying what friendship hole in my collage is kind of weak or missing. And maybe that's not something super deep. Maybe right now I'm just looking for local friendlies, as I think I'm going to steal that from you, Megan.
I love that term, friendlies, because so we're military, we move a lot. And I don't really feel like we're settled until I have that, until I can run into people at the park or at schools and be like, I know you from here, those kind of moments. But I do think that some of it is this idea that we are looking for something so much deeper and that comes over time.
Yeah.
How do you guys make those friendlies though? Because I think it's work. And I think, Megan, you kind of hinted at this, that you have to be awkward. Yeah. You have to be ready to be rejected. But do you guys have any tried and true tips?
I have one Sarah? Really quick one, and just something I've had to do. I have had to reintroduce myself, who I am and who my kids are and what my name is. Way more than I thought I would. And it's a little vulnerable because you think they don't remember me. I've met there, but I am also sometimes the person who doesn't remember them. It really does go both ways. Totally. And some people are better with faces and names and with masks. And the way that we met over the last 2 years, it's just having a huge amount of compassion for other people and yourself. And I've just started being radical about it. I'm Sarah. My kid is Reed. He's in 7th grade. I think we met at that one thing last year, or I think we also saw each other at this thing, or maybe not, but that's my name and that's my kid's name. Tell me your name again. Remind me your name. I'm just sort of I don't know, radical about it now. And it's a good first step because I don't think anyone will fault you for reintroducing yourself or
even if they remembered you, right? I think it's such a nice courtesy to just not. I always think of it as I don't assume that anyone remembers.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking, Sarah, too, when you were talking about really craving the friendlies, that I hear from just as many moms on the other side who would say things like, I want that sister friend. Yeah. And it's kind of like they're remembering college, when you stayed up all night in your dorms with that person. We don't have those opportunities anymore. And when we do, as moms, they're usually circumstantial. It's usually, like you mentioned, it's because everyone's sitting around with the baby the same age or going through the same thing, going through this intense time. And I think that one of the hard things is we try to make one friendship do too much. You might have a person who could be that sister friend to you, but their kids are 10 years older than yours, or they don't have kids at all, or they live in a different state. Those people might be totally different than those casual encounters that you can have and just show up for a girls' night out and just those people are what they are. Yeah. You'll be friendly with them. You'll say hi. You'll have a great time. You'll go home and that's it. You're not necessarily going to bond with anyone in that group deeply. And that's okay because different groups and connections can meet different needs.
I love this idea of looking for a bigger group so that you're not putting any pressure on any one person, because that can be a lot too. If you come into a friendship being you are going to be it.
Mine. Yeah.
Exactly.
The other person's no, that's okay. Yeah.
Megan, you talked about being vulnerable, and I want to go back to that because to me, the thing I do to grow friendships is ask for help. And I think that's really hard for people. Like, I look for opportunities to ask people to help me on things that I maybe only need, like that I could probably work out myself. Hey, can you grab my kid after school today when we're all walking home, right? Hey, do you mind picking up my books at the library? Because to me, it forces them to deal with me. But I think people are scared of that. I think people are scared of asking for help because we've been told, like, well, you're supposed to have your act together and no one will want to be your friend if you don't have it together. Is that kind of how you see that vulnerability piece too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like nobody really wants to be good friends with the person who's got everything together and never has any needs, right? Like, that's so intimidating. And on the Mom Hour, we've answered questions about making mom friends a lot by saying, or even asking for help. Asking for help gives the other person an opportunity to not only help you, which feels good, but also to ask for help. So it's like actually opening a door. And actually, it's a total gift. I think it's a gift to ask somebody for help because look at the door you've just opened for them to be helpful and then for them to know that they can do the same with you. So yeah, part of that vulnerability is asking for help. And sometimes that might just be being really honest about the fact that this is really hard for you right now. And you're trying to figure out how to make this work. Friendships are hard. And I think you can even be that honest. So it could be asking for practical help, but it could also be like, help me be friends with you. But not in a weird way, you know what I mean? But I think that vulnerability is, it's really appealing. I love it when people are like that with me. It makes me really want to connect with them.
I think it's such a good reminder, and it's so much harder in practice than just talking about it here on a podcast. But being new in town, I have had to check the knee-jerk assumption that everybody's got their social circles figured out. So I know I want in, and I know I have to do the work and be vulnerable, but I've made big assumptions about like, well, they don't want to go to this thing with me. Like, they already have their people. And just a reminder that you can live somewhere for 20 years and have had kids in the same school system for a decade and still be lonely. Loneliness and like friend ups and downs happen for all kinds of different reasons. You mentioned like having a new baby or like going in and out of the workforce. So I think that's another maybe takeaway is just gut check that assumption that I need them, but they don't need me. They might need a new friend as much as you do.
I think it's okay in those cases too to like make it kind of humorous. When I moved here, there was like a neighbor casually mentioned that there was a group of women that met for wine. And I was like, is there a way to apply? Yeah. I would like to apply for a spot in this group. And I literally think I asked enough times that they were like, okay, come on Thursday when I came. You know, they totally joked like, well, this is your trial night.
Here's your initiation.
Like, okay, I brought this great bottle. Yeah. You know, like, but I think that helped make it like, I know you guys are already a group and I'm really looking. And I mean, I think I point blank was like, I am looking for a group that does this, that like our children are at home. I can walk. We all live 2 blocks from each other. And now when I see you at the park, I know your names, but mostly our function is that like we leave the husbands with the kids and, you know, we get together to like chat about what's going on and have a glass of wine. But it is really awkward to be like, please accept me.
Right.
you know? Oh gosh. This may go back to this, like looking for one friend to fit all of those things. But let's say you meet another mom and you're chatting at gymnastics or something, sitting, great. You guys get together and either like you parent totally different or your kids do not get along. In all of these questions, they sort of said that ends the friendship.
I would say first, if it truly is a friendship you want to grow and nurture because you really actively enjoy the person, don't just think you should be friends with them because, you know, your kids are the same age or whatever. Maybe looking for kind of a neutral activity that there is like a thing to do to invite them to. Like, hey, this author is doing a book signing and I don't have anybody to go with. That comes back to that vulnerability piece. Like, I'd really like to go. Yeah. Would you be up for that? I don't think we need to feel bad about not wanting to spend time with 2 couples where the spouses or partners don't match up. Like, that's not a guilt. There's no moral judgment inherent in that. It's just like, that's not going to be the way this friendship progresses.
Yeah. And I think your spouse would be like, thank you very much. I didn't want that anyway. But
stop inviting me to your things.
Why are you making me be friends with these people? But I think that another thing I've experienced now having kids who are all teens and young adults is that differences in parenting styles matter a lot more at certain stages of your life than they do at other stages of your life. And that, in fact, some of the people I have the most in common with now as a mom of teens and young adults, I had the least in common with when they were really little. Sarah, I think you and I would have parented very differently if we had like known each other in real life. Maybe it's good that we didn't. And if we got together with our kids now, we have, and they get along great, and we get along great because all of the stakes have changed. All the things that we felt like were so crucial and important in those days, it turned out were just one more way of doing things. And we both have great kids. And so that's like one side of it. I think the other side is sometimes it's more of it's not just that you disagree about things like, I don't know, timeouts or whatever. It's that maybe the way they're parenting is actively impacting the way you're parenting, or you don't feel comfortable parenting your way in front of them or with them and their kids. And that's when I think Sarah's totally right. Like, let's just keep this separate.
Did you guys ever do meetups either? I mean, I guess even now where the kids are not like the main focus, because I have like friends where I am meeting up at the park because they are like, we are meeting up so the children can play and I could take or leave them up. Like, it's fine.
Right.
And we can sit and chat. But I also do sometimes make my kids go like, hey, we're going to go play and you do not have to play with these other children, but we are all going to be at the park. You know, I try to not have those at the house, right? Because
that's awkward.
We're going to go somewhere and if you, it's awkward, like, hey, they don't want to play, but but like, I don't care if they bring a book, but I try to tell my kids that too. Like, we are going and you are welcome to play with them or not play with them, but I'm going to like go on this walk or sit with this mom. But I think moms feel guilty about doing that kind of stuff.
I mean, I actually think, and I'm glad we circled back to this because it popped into my head earlier, but it's so good for our kids to see us actively pursuing joy and leisure and friendship in our lives. And I don't think you have to lecture your kids about it, but I do think that putting some language around like, we just moved here and I don't know a lot of people, so it's a little bit scary, but I'm going to ask, Joey's mom to go for coffee with me. Or I met a new friend today and I feel really excited about it. Or like, gosh, I hope I see so-and-so again. Like, verbalizing that, it's so good for our kids to see that awkward, brave space is okay. We want our kids, there's little kids who sometimes will do it naturally, walk up to somebody on the playground and say, hey, you want to be my friend? But there are other kids who do also really struggle with the same things we're talking about. So to model that, I think is great. And then to your point, saying sometimes like, we're going to prioritize mom's friendship today. We're meeting up with my friend. They've got a couple of kids. Mm-hmm. You may or may not connect with them, but this is like, I'm looking forward to this for myself. And that also in its own way is modeling, prioritizing those relationships. And I think that's all good.
No, it's so good. One of the kind of nuanced thing that was asked is that we have a new stay-at-home mom, and she isn't quite sure how to ask if other moms are stay-at-home moms, because she feels like it puts them in a position of like trying to justify what they do, and she doesn't want to do that. And I suspect also, this is me reading into the question, that she is feeling a little of that. Like, she's a new stay-at-home mom. Like, is this valuable? Is this not valuable? Does society view me as valuable? Right. So she doesn't want to ask. I think what she really wants is like, hey, are you available to hang out during the day?
Yeah. What are your hours? Right. Yeah. Well, Elizabeth, the thing I was actually going to say is like, these days, what is a stay-at-home mom anymore anyway? Like, everything has become so fluid. People are at home for a little while, then they're back in the workforce, or maybe they really are opting out, for an extended period of time. And that definitely happens. But there's moms who work from home. There's moms that have corporate jobs who sometimes are still available during the day. There's moms who work second or third shift. So like your available pool of moms may not all be people who would term themselves stay-at-home moms. Right. So maybe that's not even the right question to lead with. The question literally is, hey, this is the time that I'm available. My office hours, our friendship office hours are X, Y, and Z. And then you kind of start sussing out the rest.
Yeah, I love this. This office hours idea. I feel like I should get a little card made.
Didn't they used to have like calling cards? Like, I feel like
yes, I feel like moms need them. I put in all that stuff in my phone. I don't know if like when I meet someone, the minute I leave with their number, which I want to talk about getting a phone number, but I put all of that in my phone. Like, I'm like, this is whose mom they are. This is like, I met them at the park during this time. I learned this information about them.
Yeah,
because I find that really helpful. I also feel like this woman asking like, go out in the middle of the day. And if the person is out in the middle of the day, they're probably regularly available.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like if Tuesdays at 10 are good for you, go to the park Tuesday at 10 and see who else is there.
And then does it matter if the mom who's there at Tuesday at 10, if she happens to only have Tuesday at 10 off? No, because you know that day she's available. So it doesn't really matter what she's doing the rest of the week if you just really want to make that connection.
Do you guys have any tricks for getting phone numbers? Because I feel like phone numbers this sounds like a dating game show. But I feel it is kind of like dating. Like you have to get the phone. If you get the phone number, and in my opinion, you text in that first week's time, you've converted.
I'm sort of a master at this, but I have a feeling in a very different way than Sarah is. So Sarah, I'm going to share the way I do this first.
Okay.
Pretty much any conversation with me that lasts more than 10 or 15 minutes, I am always coming up with something I can text the other person. Like, oh my gosh, I just read this article. Here, give me your phone number. I'm just going to text it to you really quick. Or take a picture of their kid and mine playing.
Is
that your trick, Elizabeth? Okay.
Picture.
I'm going to text this to
Can
you.
I send you this picture? And I'm the same way. I did not come up with it. I'm not tricking you into getting your phone number.
Gotcha. This sounds very sinister.
Everybody's like, why do you always have people's phone numbers? I'm like, oh, because I'm always texting them pictures.
Yeah. And then I will often text them again like that day so I don't forget, because I'm terrible about remembering to put people's names in my phone. And then it falls off and I have no idea who they are. So then it's like, ha ha ha, wasn't this funny? And then you send a couple funny little texts back and forth. And now you've created a slight rapport.
Yeah.
Even if there doesn't mean anything and you don't have plans, there's a reason to get back in touch.
This is community building as much as it is friendship acquisition. So I will often ask in a first meeting, and this fall is kind of a nice time to do it because people really are running into each other. And then Elizabeth, I do what you do, which is I immediately text them my first and last name and my kid's name and the spelling, because that way, like to your point, Megan, it's easy to be like, well, we had a nice conversation. I kind of remember your face, but now I've got to remember your name again, or your name's not in my phone. And is that the same person? So, and that often prompts them to do the same. And so yep, I'm Sarah. They even have my last name if they need to, or whatever, my kid's name. So it's more about just grabbing it, getting it in the phone, and then building that network. Cause I've had to build mine kind of from scratch.
Since both of you have older kids, that does seem to be one of the places people really have trouble, because they were like, oh, I was making friends because I was at school and I was sitting here and I walked my kid, in the carpool line, that kind of stuff. Now my kids are walking themselves, managing their own social schedules, and friends have gone to different schools. I feel lonely and don't know where to meet people. Where are you meeting the people if not the playgrounds and the library?
Yeah. Sarah, I'll go first on this one, I guess. I think for me, when my kids were school age was when I personally made a big shift away from making friends through my kids. They stopped being the focal point of my social life for a lot of reasons. One of them being the thing that we mentioned earlier, which was I couldn't seem to find friends that I wanted to hang out with who my kids wanted to hang out with their kids. It just didn't seem to work that way. So I started getting involved in other things in the community that just had nothing to do with kids. And school age is a great time to do it because they're busy with their own stuff. And at some point, they're going to be old enough that they can just opt out. So you can say, hey, I'm going to go to this thing. There's going to be other families there. Do you want to come? And they can say, nah. And so you just leave. So it's really worked out well. I did community theater for quite some time. I haven't for a while. But when my kids were of the age where they could have gone to the potlucks and hung out backstage, and some of them wanted to and others wanted nothing to do with it. And that's okay because it wasn't for them. It was just for me. So
yeah.
I don't know. Sarah, what do you think?
Well, I'm struggling with this just in real life right now. So I could just say that out loud. I guess I almost see the question or the challenge as two-pronged. One is, how do I build rapport with parents in my kids' social circles so that it doesn't feel awkward? Because when kids have their own phones and make their own plans, it's really it's an alienating, it's a new feeling. I shouldn't even say it's weird because I'm sure it's eventually not weird. But to have your kids spending time at someone's house and never having met the parents is very different from the younger kid days. So one is, how do I achieve that at least friendly status? But the other is, where do I find my people? And that's, to Megan's point, that is not in that group at all. So it's both, I think both are hard and both are important. And I'm not sure I have much advice except to commiserate.
Well, Sarah, have you noticed now that your kids are doing their own social planning via text or whatever, and mine have been doing this for a long time now, they're terrible at it. Well, they're terrible at it to the standard that I would like them to hold. So the details are so vague. They kind of seem to expect that they'll just their friends will just appear when they need them. It's really weird the way that the details they leave out. So I have text threads going with several of my kids' friends, parents, moms usually.
Right.
Where I'm like, does anyone have any idea what's going on? Because what I'm hearing from Clara is that there's a sleepover tonight, yet I have no indication from any of you that is the truth. And then we all just kind of go, oh, they're terrible at it. And then that's like kind of making fun of their terrible planning skills is how we stay in touch. And sometimes that's kind of all we do.
Yeah.
It's that's it.
But that's kind of all for that's all you need, right? I think this goes back to having the different friends. You need to be in touch with these people because when you need to be in touch, you're going to need to be in touch. If something happens, these are people you want on your team. And the way to do that is kind of this day-to-day, okay, we're all in this boat together, and it's a mess.
Right.
But they don't necessarily have to be the people that fill your bucket.
No, that's exactly right.
No.
One thing I am trying to be a little better at is remembering that younger teenagers especially still need help planning social things and hosting something. If you feel brave enough to host 4 or 5 older kids or young teenagers for a sleepover or a crazy night of age-appropriate fun, I'm sure those other parents would be happy to be in touch with you. They'd be thrilled that there's a safe and fun activity.
Yes.
Again, with that vulnerability piece, leading with what do I want for my kid, but also for my burgeoning network. And sometimes you may want to be the host, and you will have a different relationship with those parents after that event, especially if it's a bigger event, like a sleepover or a party or something.
Well, you guys, this was such a joy. We're so thankful you guys could come on. This is the perfect for all the questions that we've gotten. I feel like this was empathetic, but also boosting and lots of little tidbits. And both of you can expect messages from me trying to convert this into an internet friendship.
Awesome. Consider
I'm happy to give you my digits, Elizabeth.
Office hours are open.
And that's it for our show. We'll be back on Monday with a question and everyone's favorite recommendations. So be sure to tune in. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode. If you're looking for a fun parenting community, don't forget the Slate Facebook parenting group. It's a great way to ask questions and get recommendations of your own as well. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Chrissy Taiwo Macanjula and Rosemary Belson. For Zach Rosen and Elizabeth Newcamp, I'm Jamilah Lemieux.